I'd like to call to order the Mayor and City Council meeting for the month of February and ask Mayor Pro Tem Ed Foster lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members are present and accounted for, and thank you again for coming tonight. It's a much more pleasant evening weather-wise tonight than it was Wednesday. But before we get into the agenda, I'd like to just briefly turn the meeting over to our city manager for an introduction of our newest staff member.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Barry. Could you come up? Barry Avalon, our new treasurer. She has been with us now since December the 18th, and she's becoming acclimated to the city and doing a fine job.
Welcome, Barry.
Welcome.
We're very happy to have you. Thank you.
And now she's going to leave. Oh, you staying?
All right, next is the review of the minutes. January 3rd and January 9th regular meetings, and the additions to both the 3rd and the 9th meetings. Anyone care to make a motion for those minutes?
I make a motion to approve both sets of minutes as amended and presented tonight.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to amend the minutes to add the section I mentioned on Wednesday, that during the attorney's report, there was an explanation of the scheduling order for the open meetings appeal before the High Court in Maryland. And there was probably 3 or 4 minute discussion of that. That's not here in the minutes of the January 9th. I don't know whether Ms. Clara had a chance to write out that description, but I came tonight with a prepared wording for adding that. It should be below this opinion regarding the nativity scene that was issued at the January meeting as another bullet point for his report. May I read those words that I suggest we add?
Councilman Fraser, could we get copies for everybody?
Sure, that would be great.
Or do you have them?
Yeah, can you pass that down? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll keep the 5th one.
I have one as well, thank you.
One as well, okay, and the mayor, sorry. Yes, it says Attorney Gullo explained the scheduling order for the open meetings appeal and the request for extension by the appellant. He stated the decision would have to be made by the city as to the length of the extension for filing briefs. And that, if you look at the video, that occurred during that meeting. So I'd like to vote for this if I could approve that addition to the minutes. I also did not support the effort to double down on the fire codes after the recent tragedy for one of our citizens. And this minute seems to imply that we all unanimously agree that's a good time to do that. I said it was added insult to injury, and so I think it's not accurate that I supported that. And the minutes seem to imply that I did.
Well, Councilman, it says consensus, not unanimity.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make it clear that I thought that added insult to injury, that we have so many victims related to the recent fire.
Well, and let's say again.
Should we entertain this as an amendment to the motion, or should we vote on the motion that's on the floor and then receive the amendment?
Well, I made it in the form of amendment.
The proper would be to do one amendment at a time. You have at least 3 being talked about now, so you should probably do them one at a time, unless they're all in, you want to do them all at once and then vote them up or down at once. But you should have a motion to make the amendment, then a second, vote on the amendment, and then go back to the main motion. I mean, Councilman Bigliotti made the main motion. Right.
Is there a
So-
second to the motion that Councilman Frazier made to amend the minutes?
To amend,
So let me just
No,
separate
first.
them after we have the advice of our attorney.
I was going to say, because he's proposed at least how many, 3 different changes to us. Which one are we, is he?
Let's act on them one at a time, as we just were advised to do. You have the letter before you in red at the bottom of the page. I'd like to add these words to the minutes because they reflect what actually happened regarding that subject at that meeting.
But which specific set of changes, though?
At the bottom of this letter, that everything's in
Bottom.
color. There's a bottom paragraph, and I just read it to the council. I'd like to add these to the minutes of January the 9th.
And Councilman, again, where would that go?
It would go as a bullet point. See the first bullet point that says memo regarding nativity, constitutional issues, and conflicts of interest?
Wait, what?
It would be another bullet under the legal
The-
report.
The bottom of page 1 for January 9th.
Okay, all right.
He wants to add another bullet point.
Under legal report.
Yeah, because that was what happened at that meeting. It's a meeting.
Anyone
So I
care
make
to
that as
second
an
that?
amendment motion.
He's making an amendment, so I think it's good.
In my mind, it just seems like it's repeating almost the same thing, but with a little more detail than we previously did in the minutes.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Where do you see any mention of the discussion of the decision the city is making on the request for extension by the appellate for the filing of legal briefs in the Maryland Appeals Court?
I think that would be on the January 3rd set of minutes under legal report where it says Open Meetings Act lawsuit appeal update.
We discussed this, yes, that was the update discussed at the Wednesday meeting, I suppose.
Well, and we discuss a lot of things, and one of those is every month we discuss the lack of need for all of this narrative, all of this fluff that keeps trying to get crammed into the minutes. So, Mr. Mayor, I believe we're still waiting for a second on his motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
the motion dies because of lack of second.
The second thing I brought up is I would like to add that I did not support the doubling down on the fire codes. The amendment that Councilman Vigliotti suggested we all were unanimous in favor of. I spoke about at that meeting that I thought that was added insult to injury. Do you recall that?
Well, Councilman Frazier, no, again, I point out that it says consensus, not unanimity.
Well, let's also point out the correct phrasing of what was discussed and what is in the minutes has nothing to do with doubling down. We're not
Right.
in Las Vegas.
Right.
It says it was decided by consensus that staff would provide a summary of the current policies for review. That's it. The council gave consensus that we would like a summary for us to review. That's all. We didn't make any amendments.
Right.
We didn't double down. It was just simply, let's see what the current fire safety is, and just make sure that we keep people safe in the city. Such a simple thing. It really doesn't need the political grandstanding that it's becoming right now.
I didn't want to make clear that I did not support that right
All
after there
right,
were so many
well,
victims of this
It's
fire.
been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes for January the 3rd, January the 9th, as presented, amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So carried. Thank you. Must ask at this time, does any council member have a conflict of interest with any agenda items tonight?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, moving on, we have resolutions, ordinances, and agreements. We have up for adoption, Resolution 2018-02, water allocation for February of 2018. Anyone care to make a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so carried. Next, we move into the city manager's report. Henry, do you have anything additional for us tonight?
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody that the retreat is scheduled for 8 a.m. on the 24th of this month.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
We're meeting here.
Yes. Sorry, I'll just answer that question so everybody can hear that, yes, we are meeting here in the same room back there we met last year.
Okay. Any questions for Henry? Any questions on the department reports? Legal reports. Jay, do you have anything additional for us tonight?
Just to announce that the Ethics Commission is going to meet on February 20th at 7:30. It's Tuesday at 7:30. They're going to review the campaign finance forms, the last filing, and then all of the financial disclosure forms that needed to be filed.
Any questions for Jay?
I think I have a question, but maybe it's more of a general question. I'm not sure whether it would come under legal report or maybe new business, and that would be discussion of the holiday display policy that we have in conjunction with the opinion that you, or the memo you gave us a couple of weeks ago. Is that now, or is that, would that be better in new business?
It's up to the mayor when you'd want to discuss that.
Wait, there's no item under old business, but it seems like that would be appropriate under old business if you want to wait to move on to that.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to old business. Do you have an item for old business, Jay?
Well, I guess, you know, and stop me if I say too much with reference to the opinion itself, because again, I don't want to disclose anything that I shouldn't be disclosing, but it seems to me, and I'm going to speak in as general a sense as I can, that the holiday display policy that we enacted, you know, when we were approached about this, or approached about having holiday displays on public property, you know, we as a council wanted to respond to this as best we could. You know, we wanted to be responsive to citizens who you know, wanted to use property for holiday displays. And so we relatively quickly came up with a policy that we thought, you know, would be honored in good faith and was going to be handled well. But there was certainly some confusion about it. There was certainly some, you know, political grandstanding about it. And I guess I'm kind of disheartened that, you know, that happened. And then to have the legal opinion in conjunction with that, which lays out the extent of the problems that we could be facing. I'm not sure whether I have to make this in the form of an amendment or you know, in the form of a motion to either suspend or rescind the policy, because I think at this particular point in time, we're not quite ready for it. And, you know, I feel like, you know, we did something in good faith. We were taken advantage of for it. And, you know, it's not even so much that the problem with this is that, you know, we're potentially dealing with lawsuits from, you know, a situation in which, you know, individuals could not determine what is or is not endorsed by city government, so much as that we know that there are people who are, and I guess the best way to explain this would be, you know, like reactively, litigiously adversarial, that they look for opportunities to jump in and to sue people and to get themselves involved in things, whether for political or personal reasons. And for the time being, I don't think that you know, the holiday policy that we have is wise. And I guess I would make a motion to rescind the current policy as is.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion?
I wanted to say, before we, since there's a motion and a second on the table to rescind the policy, that it was a welcome thing that the council would treat all applicants fairly. There was I'll just remind the council before you vote, this lady came from the American Legion about putting up banners. It was a wonderful idea for veterans. My grandfather was a veteran of World War I. My father, a veteran of World War II. And I was excited, and I reminded her that the policy that you all enacted required $1 million of liability insurance. And there was a tete-a-tete between this guest here and her about whether or not it would apply to her, but it applied to the Nativity Committee in an 11th hour decision. So I'm not sure that if you had a policy and you applied it equally, that it would be a bad thing to have a policy for displays on public property. We had, I don't think I can support rescinding a fair policy that I voted for that would allow everybody to play equally for displays on public property. That was a welcome change that finally, instead of just friends of the city get to do one thing, but enemies of the city don't get to do it, kind of mentality would be put behind us, and we'd all go on to live in peace and have a fair playing field for everyone.
I think the point is what is sanctioned by the city and what is not. Then the city cannot sanction a nativity on its property. It simply cannot be done. That is a lawsuit quicker than you could even build the thing. So that's the banners that we're talking about, the city can sanction that, absolutely. It's respecting the people from our municipality in the area that's served. We can sanction that, absolutely.
It's also comparing apples and oranges.
Well,
It's not
of
even
course,
the same issue.
No.
But anyway,
Mr. Mayor.
And we are going to treat everyone freely. If they want to do it, the answer is no.
Mr.
That's
Mayor,
as fair as it could
I'd just
possibly
like to
be.
remind the council. Mr.
anyone
Mayor.
else have any comments to
Yes,
make?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to remind the council about recent meetings since the new year where the Agora Ministry was attacked for running the BMX Expo. We ran a wonderful event with the approval of the city in 2015.
What does that have to do with this conversation?
It provided
other than
the same
advertising?
certificate insurance. Well, because we were liable at that meeting, and
That's untrue.
wanted to mention that
We have to stay on the
the
subject.
new policy
Wait,
that we're
Councilman-
discussing repealing today
Council, this is what
would put in an unfair practice of the
we're
staff
addressing
being
the
able to play
merits of
favorites
repealing the holiday display
on who's a
regulations.
approved a
Nothing to do with
project and who's not an
BMXs,
approved project.
nothing to do with veterans posters.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I never voted on approving any project to use public property or not approving any project on a public property. And finally, we had a procedure that was fair and equitable. And now a motion's been made to repeal that procedure. I think that's a black mark on the city, to go from an organized policy where everybody plays fairly to a policy that's back in the back rooms again, where the council doesn't vote on such usages.
You certainly
But,
can
Councilman,
vote against it.
That's the
repealing.
point. You know,
Terrific.
we enacted the policy in good faith because most of us wanted to see holiday displays up somewhere in the
How
city.
did we enact the policy?
By a vote here in the council. Now, anyways, as I was saying, the difficulty is that, we did our best to be responsive. We acted in good faith on behalf of a certain number of people, and they simply didn't treat us fairly in the process. Now, in addition to that, there are a number of legal issues that we have to consider as well. So at this particular time, this particular policy, I don't think is the right one. Is it something we can revisit again in the future? I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Well, that
But
clearly
as-
is a falsehood and an untruth. The policy of requiring a $100,000 insurance certificate was not enacted by this council in a vote. It was enacted at the 11th hour.
By this council, by a vote.
This is a requirement that our insurance carrier has. This is not something we came up with. It's not something we can even control. Our insurance carrier tells us that we have to have this level of coverage for people who operate on city property. And it doesn't matter whether you're painting the back fence or whether you're putting up a nativity set. You still have to have that insurance.
Did you act differently when the American Legion came than you acted toward Agora evangelism?
Because it is a question of religion. Honoring veterans is something that is secular and well within the purview of a secular government. But when we get involved in religion, we have to be very careful because we're dealing with things like the Establishment Clause, we're dealing with separation of church and state. We want people to be able to celebrate their faith and their holidays without becoming entangled in it ourselves and opening ourselves up, as Councilman Lance rightly said, to lawsuit.
All right.
Glad you said that.
I guess we got a second on that motion, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah,
We have a second, yes, sir.
Anybody else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed,
vote
like
no, we should not repeal a fair
Or do I?
policy to go back to the back rooms of the city office.
Okey-doke, let's move into new business,
Actually, Mayor,
financial report.
before we do that,
Mr. Mayor?
could I just bring up one of the other issues that was spoke about in the opinion was the fact that in the article that it was stated that Councilman Frazier accepted the nativity scene on behalf of the city, and I think it needs to be made clear that once again he's not able to do that without having council approval.
That's a good point. Did he write the article? No one can do that.
He said it, so
Well, I've been around a long time, Councilwoman Fuller, and a lot of things in the paper that put in quotes are never really said by the
well,
people.
except for that you came up here and said it while you were sitting in that seat. So if you need me to, I can go back and watch all the meetings and get that for you. You said, I accepted it on behalf of the city. So if you want, I'll go back and I'll find it and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, you'll have to do that. I don't have the ability to accept anything on behalf of the city. The Nativity Committee was advised by the zoning administrator to come to the council to discuss it, and did so in the November and December
That has
meeting.
nothing to
That's
do with
great.
what she said.
All we're saying is we're making the statement at this point right now that that is not a fact. So we'll just leave it at that. That is not a fact. You did not accept it on behalf of the city. Would you agree to that? Would you say you did not accept it on behalf of the city?
We accepted it at Agora front yard because we were rejected by this.
On behalf of
11
the
hours.
city is the key words there. So
When the city rejected it, we accepted it on our front yard.
on behalf of the city or just for you?
Agora did that.
What Councilwoman Fuller is asking is, when you accepted the nativity set, did you do it on behalf of yourself and Agora, or did you do it on behalf of the mayor, city council, and the city of Taneytown?
I spoke about the city council rejecting the nativity scene on the front yard of the
That's
Agora
fine, but that's
during
not the question
ceremony.
she's asking.
Mr. Mayor, he's simply
He has a hard time
deflecting.
understanding what you're asking, I think.
No, I think he perfectly understands
No,
what I'm
he
asking.
understands.
He's just avoiding.
He's
and that's
deflecting the question.
That's
It's,
Okay.
It's
don't
on
know.
video,
We
so
may
we
as
can
well
move forward.
on. The point has been made. Any other comments regarding the holiday display?
No, sir.
Now let's move into new business financial report. Anyone care to make a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, accounts payable. You have a register of the bills that were paid last month. Does anyone have any questions regarding the bills that we paid last month under the accounts payable?
I'm sorry, was there a motion on that I missed?
No, I'm just going to ask for that.
Okay.
Is there anyone care to make that motion to approve?
You can make
the
a
accounts
motion,
payable?
Brad.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Like so. Go carry. Meadowbrook letter of credit reduction A and B. You have that in your packet. Anything you'd like to add to that, Counselor?
No, if you remember my summary, everything was approved by the city staff, and the reduction is in order.
Would care to make a motion to reduce the letter of credit as recommended?
I'll make a motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so carried. Next we have council member reports. Councilman Frazier, would you like to begin with any report you might have regarding your
Well,
duties
I
this
was
past
thinking
month?
all day long that you might ask me that question first. And I just was thinking of the song goes, "Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you." And I'm very excited about Valentine's Day because for over 30 years I've been married to one of the most special women in the world. She is wonderfully able and competent, a wonderful mother of my children, a wonderful person, kind, generous, and I just encourage all people in Taneytown to take a special moment and recognize their significant other, their wife or husband, in this special holiday is coming up on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Planning Commission continued working on the master plan, and they did want me to pass along to the council that they appreciate being able to have the city attorney at their meetings to provide a lot of the guidance that he does, and their desire that continue as it has.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I would like to expand on the economic development report that's in your packet with some additional information. Going down the bullet list, the Common Ground will be opening very soon, mid-February. That's on the corner of Frederick Street. They'll have coffee, magazines, books, and games. At 64 Frederick Street, it's going to be called the Tannery Barn, not the Tannery House. And that's moving along and is scheduled to be open soon. They have locations in Catonsville and Owings Mills as well. They'll have a staff of 12 that she's bringing from those other locations. Also, she's having a pop-up shop across the street on February the 14th, just for Valentine's Day, so everybody should go over and buy their flowers. That's going to be open from 9 to 4.
This is at the Tannery House or barn?
No, it's across the street.
No, across the street.
The big
It's just a pop-up for one day.
in that
And who's selling these
The-
flowers? The same lady?
The same lady
Okay.
from the Tannery Barn. The Bollinger Gunsmithing and Sales is moving along. They seem to be a solid company, been in business for a number of years. An accounting office has rented space in the New Windsor building. George's of York Street, the bed and breakfast, has been mostly delayed by weather, but they are moving along and hope to open in March. It's a bed and breakfast, but the breakfast part will only be sort of like continental breakfast, not hot food. The old Chinese restaurant that was purchased, they are still looking for an investor for that building. The shopping center, none of that is moving. I understand the rent is an issue there. So Nancy continues to work with that. And as well, she's still looking for an investor for the pharmacy. She had one bite, but they only wanted to rent part of the space, and the owner says all or nothing. She's trying to contact the owner of the Cherry Tree as well. Not having a lot of luck, but still trying to bring him to the table to negotiate. Kronk's, the old gun store, is in the hands of the county for some environmental issues. So right now we have sort of no say in that. And she just got a lease on the property that used to be Gunners. And that's going to be Easy Does It, Cajun food restaurant. Hopes to open in 2 months or sooner.
I'm going.
And I think that's it for economic development. Second, I would like to mention that I would like the mayor and this council to entertain some formal code of conduct for this entire meeting. The first of the year, we had Barbara Hildebridal got up and asked for some civility and in the way that the meetings were conducted, and it's gone downhill since then. So I would like us at our retreat to come up with some formal code of conduct for the way these meetings are conducted and the way you are to act out there. So I'd like us to discuss that at the retreat.
It's a great idea.
Good suggestion.
And that's it.
Okay.
Joe, you're on.
All right.
Big Leonie.
Well, tonight I'm really excited to be able to say that myself, Mayor Pro Tem Foster, and Councilwoman Fuller attended the inaugural 2018 meeting of Relay for Life. And this year, as always, Relay for Life will be held at Carol Vista this year on June 2nd. But this year, whereas we had a Wizard of Oz theme last year, there's going to be a Star Wars theme this year. Now, partly I want to talk about the police department because the police department is putting together their own team for this. And on May 4th, may the 4th be with you, Star Wars Day, they're going to be having a fundraiser at Dunkin' Donuts here in town. And we'll have more details on that as that comes closer to fruition. Now, the mayor and city council and the administration for City Hall, we're also going to have our own team for Relay for Life. And it has been decided that our team name is going to be Rogue 2, after the movie, right? So anybody who is interested in participating, come and see me. I have forms to fill out. We'd love to have you. If you have family members or friends who want to participate with us on our team, please let them know. And the only requirement that we have is that you have to dress up in a costume.
Any costume?
Well, it has to be Star Wars related.
I kind of like the Cowardly Lion.
Well, this year you can, yeah, you can be Chewbacca.
I feel it's the same one.
Yeah. Diane, Judy, did I forget anything?
No, except we have another meeting tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Something else may come up.
Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. at Carol Vista's Clubhouse. There is a meeting. It's open to the public. Anybody who wants to attend is more than welcome. I'll be there. Diane, I believe you should be there.
Yeah.
And if anybody comes, we're happy to see you. And that's it for me this month.
I don't think I have anything else.
Fuller.
I guess on a personal note, and Daniel, you'll probably appreciate this, my son just signed up for the Marine Corps. He's going in for a 4-year stint. So as soon as he graduates from high school, if I can keep him going to school, because he figures he's already got everything all planned out already. Yeah, we're really excited about that.
And
so.
Shay is a new ambassador.
Oh yeah, and Shay and he also became new Taneytown ambassadors. They were at the last Cosmo Day meal. Very excited. He got talked into that one. I don't think he knew what he was getting into. He thought he was just going to give her a ride.
Guess he figured he was going at it.
I know. He's going to be there anyway. You might as well complete the course. But aside from that, I think that's all I have for right now.
Thank you. I attended the mayor's conference along with the city manager, who was a former mayor and a former president of the Maryland Mayor Association. We had a wonderful evening at the governor's mansion. We were able to speak one-on-one with the governor and his family. They were very gracious, and we learned a lot. This is a special year for Maryland Municipal League, in particular, in our efforts to have our highway revenue, user revenues restored. And I'd like to call on everyone, including those of you in the audience, to make sure that you have the opportunity to speak with someone from our delegation or anybody from the Annapolis delegation you happen to run into, and encourage them to support our HUR efforts. We were having a rally, I guess, or a bill hearing in Annapolis on Wednesday, but that has been changed until the 5th of May, I believe it was, or 5th of March, rather, and in the Senate. And the 22nd of February, will be our hearings in the House. So if anyone can appear in Annapolis that day to add support to our efforts, it would be greatly appreciated. We went through a lot of the agenda that we've talked about, the small cell tower efforts, and it's a great concern of all the municipalities throughout the state, how we're going to deal with this. I was able to attend kind of a side event with Comptroller Franchot, had a press conference at a facility there on West Street that encouraged the addition and development of hometown microbreweries in order to help revitalize downtowns and add tax dollars to the state. And I was all for that. And I think we, if we could get that, get the owner of the number 1 York Street tuned into these, to this group, he would have some success in doing what he wants to do. But anyway, that was a big event. There's a lot of opposition from the current liquor distributors that don't want this, but there's going to be a big fight about this. But it's a huge boon, a huge benefit to the cities that have it. I've talked to the mayor of Frederick. I've talked to the mayor of Ocean City, particularly about their successes, and the mayor of Berlin, and how alive their downtown becomes because of it. And Westminster's got some. It's something that is real popular right now, and it would be nice. I think it'd make a whole lot of difference if we had one here in town. So, if you hear more about this, kind of study it, lend your support to it if you do agree. I guess that's primarily the mess of it. If I forget anything, Henry, that you can think of. But anyway, as usual, it was a good conference. Probably one of the better conferences, actually. Sometimes I find a day or two lacking, but this year was pretty fast-paced and a lot of good information. So I'm glad I was able to participate. And again, that's we'll keep you more informed on the HURs as they come along. It's a crucial effort, and a crucial thing for the municipalities and state to get our highway user revenues restored. We just have to maintain our roads. It's simple as that, and we just don't have the money to do it. Okay, anyone have anything else before I call for a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I wanted to say before you adjourn that I was appalled at MML to hear Peter Franchot talk about pushing microbreweries in every town as a solution to economic development. That I thought, what a blind person to be able to think that more intoxicants. We've seen local municipalities kiss up to all these pot growing facilities and factories in 15 towns across the state. Now the comptroller wants breweries all throughout the state. And I'm not sure more intoxicants. I'm sure that downtown areas of cities would be more lively if everybody was under the influence of alcohol. But I don't think that's necessarily the way to have economic development in small towns. I'm discouraged, Mr. Mayor, that you were enthusiastic about that presentation.
Absolutely. I've spent some time at many breweries in Frederick. I don't think I've ever become intoxicated by going to many breweries in Frederick, but I know I've always had a good time. So I think that's the kind of economic engine we need to stimulate our downtown. So.
Well, I don't support the pot-growing factories, and I don't support an increase in
either.
alcohol consumption.
We agree
I'm a
on something,
victim
Don.
of a drunk driving accident, and I feel very strongly about the fact that more intoxicants on the road is not good for us.
Well, I certainly don't encourage anyone to drink more than they can drink responsibly.
How about smoke reefers? How about that?
I don't like
You
that either.
for that?
Nope, don't agree with that either.
Okay. Well, I've been fighting that for now 2.5 years in Taneytown.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.